flip-flop side of things, yes, I did make 2 videos right back to back. That's all I got time for. Didn't have time for it last night. The Pistons lose to Miami in overtime last night. Man, what type of game was it? It's a hell of a game last night. I'm not going to lie to you. It was a hell of a game. It was a thrilling game, man. Of course, y'all seen the numbers. Monster night from Dre. Blake Griffin had his, pedestrian night. Reggie Jackson had a hell of a night last night. Langston Galloway, I think he had 21 points. GR3 finally started, and everybody is relieved, including myself. Hopefully it stays that way. GR3 should have been starting from day one. He provides something that Stanley cannot do, which is cerebral playmaking and three-point shooting. So Stanley, you still, you got to keep him around for them defensive situations. Like I said, with the rosters you got, some guys just are not going to be able to defend guys. And I'm keeping Stanley Johnson on the bench. I'm not trading Stanley Johnson like a lot of you idiots like to say. No, I'm not trading him, but he's going to come off the bench. Because like I said, some players you just have to have Stanley Johnson to defend. Like I said, with that game against Ben Simmons, you just have to have Stanley Johnson in that situation. A lot of people like to see buckets all the time, but you don't think about defense. You know what I'm saying? If you can't stop nobody, I don't care how many buckets you put up there. Golden State has defense too. A lot of people don't realize that. They have defense, man. They do shoot a lot of threes, but at the same time, they have defense. And they have certain anchors on their team that's really pesty for people. Klay Thompson is a great defender, man, and also Draymond Green. Kevin Durant has become one. So yes, they play defense as well, but that's the formula. You just have to have defensive guys, man. And Stanley Johnson has to stay on my bench just because of that. I'm sorry. I'm not cutting him or trading him away for any old thing. You can come over here and have the prettiest jump shot in the world, but you can't defend nobody. You're going to be a problem because shooters can be defended. Shooters can be defended, man. We see it all the time with Kyle Korver where people take him completely out the game. I see a lot of people say that we should get Kyle Korver. Okay, listen. We get Kyle Korver, that's fine. Kyle Korver does nothing but shoot threes. He is a liability on defense. He is a problem on your defense. You've seen it with Cleveland. He caused Cleveland a lot of issues because he's not a defender, and you take a guy and you stick him to Kyle Korver, he becomes irrelevant. That's my opinion. I want a guy that can shoot threes and play defense. I like 3-and-D guys. Simply as that. Stanley is not one. I'm not just making this about him. Yes, we do need shooters. So we got Kyle Korver, fine, in certain situations. But we still have to have defenders on this team. We have to be able to stop people. This is the Eastern Conference, ladies and gentlemen. This is not the run and gun conference like the West. We have to have defenders, bro. We have to go through Boston and Philly. You have to have players that can defend. So, and the Bucks too. So, guys that can defend lengthy players, man. We got Kawhi Leonard with the Raptors. We have some names here, bro. We have some people here we got to defend, and that's why you have to keep Stanley on the bench. GR3 is a good defender too. So start him, keep Stanley on the bench. But a lot of those players I named are at your small forward position. So guess what? I'm not trading my best defender on my team, which is a small forward, away. No, I'm keeping him. Keep him on the bench. That's just my opinion about it. Whatever. I know some people have this putrefied hate about certain players. They just like to take one player, just hate that player. Listen, I don't care about that. I'm looking at situational basketball. And Stanley Johnson has to be on my bench in order to play defense. Reggie Jackson, is he tradable this year? We'll find out. Will I trade him? It depends on who for. I'm not trading him for some guy that wouldn't start on the other team. Simple as that. I want a flat-out bona fide starter. I'll send Reggie Jackson and some other young players, or in a draft pick, go get me John Wall, something like that. Do me something like that. Because John Wall obviously probably is not going to be happy. They're like 1-7 or 1-8 or something like that. So it is what it is. But like I said, this was only game 9. So obviously it's still the first 2 weeks of the NBA. Game 9 out of 82 games is not going to tell you too much. So with that being said, Drummond, it frustrates me and it infuriates me to watch him get the ball on the box, take his time, use his footwork, and get an easy shot. Because it's like, why don't you do that all the time? And that's why I feel like, these coaching staffs that's coming in here, they're not bringing guys in here to coach the bigs. Y'all remember how fast him and Greg Monroe was starting to develop when Rasheed Wallace was here. These coaching staffs, they don't bring guys that develop bigs, man. The ones that we have here. Stan Van Gundy, he went away from Rasheed Wallace. And obviously, Dwayne Casey is not putting these bugs into Andre's ear. Listen, slow down. That's his biggest issue when you catch that ball down there. Slow down, use your body mass, take your time. And whenever he does that, it's a high percentage shot, man. But we have situations where he just take the ball, turn around, and throw it somewhere. I don't know what the hell he be doing at the time. Trying to shoot fadeaways. Dude, listen. I want a game like last night all the time, Andre, where you tipping in shots, where you catching the ball on the post, and you taking your time to get a good shot down there. That's what I want out of Andre. I don't want you trying to catch the ball at the top of the key and make moves and go to the rim like you're a guard. I don't want that shit. I want you to dominate down in the post, because a lot of teams, they cannot deal with that. With that being said, Blake Griffin last night had a pedestrian game last night. Didn't have the best game last night. 24 points to him is pedestrian, which is crazy to say, right? Pretty pedestrian game for him. He hit a lot of jump shots where the shot clock was running out that he really didn't mean to, you know what I'm saying? So, of course, he still needs to work on some free throws as well, too. But pedestrian game with him. Reggie hit some really big shots. Really big shots, man. And his penetration is what allowed Andre to get, tip-ins at the end of the game, especially the one that took us into overtime. But he had some big shots down the stretch. He shot some questionable ones during the game, but like I tell people all the time, what the hell point guard don't in this league? It's just this, like I said, it's this hate for Reggie Jackson. Listen, Reggie has his moments where it's like, what the fuck are you doing, Reggie? But who the fuck does it? That's my point. I'm not a biased type of guy. It's like, who the fuck does it, man? I see guys play on my TV screen all the time for these other teams that shoot shots like, what the fuck are you doing? You know what I'm saying? So, with that being said, I'm not taking up for him. Reggie, I know, can play a lot better. But like I said, we have a coaching staff that just don't develop players, bro. It's obviously, these players, Dwayne Casey, his staff just got here. So I'm going to say our previous coaching staff didn't develop players at all. We seen Henry Ellison come back as the exact same player. The exact same player this year. So with that being said, hopefully Dwayne Casey's coaching staff can develop these guys, man. Because them being stuck at the same spot that's very alarming to me. These players should be developed. These good teams develop their young guys, man. You look at Boston, the way they develop their young guys. You have to develop these dudes, man. And Dwayne Casey did develop guys in Toronto, but it didn't happen in 9 games. So, of course, I'm not going against Dwayne Casey. But Stan Van Gundy didn't develop a thing. Everybody already know he was terrifying to young people. So that's my point about, Stanley Johnson. We see what happened with Reggie, if he's still on the team. But the other guards as well on this team, give him time. And why is Dwayne Casey preaching patience so much? Because he has a brain. He knows that it's not going to happen that fast. You got to be absolutely out of your mind and half crazy to think that something is going to happen that fast. If you look at his track record, it was over time where he improved that team to where they were, where they just got better and better and better. You have to improve something. You have to crawl before you walk. Simple. You have to crawl before you walk, and that's what we need to do. Like I said, Stanley is 22 years old, 22, and Drake is still 24, which I can't believe. Yeah, that's crazy. Well, yeah, we got some really, really young dudes, man. So, development throughout this season and over the next year or so, I'm definitely looking forward to it. But we do have to trade some of these pieces away if things do not start to right themselves with the basketball shooting. We just have to have the shooting. That still continues to be our biggest issue. We shot the ball better yesterday. I'm not going to lie to you. We shot the ball better yesterday. But we did, it's G-Hart 3. If he would have knocked that shot down, we'd have been smooth sailing. But he couldn't knock it down. And it is what it is. I mean, I'm not going to trash the guy because he couldn't hit the shot. I've seen dudes on Twitter trash him because he couldn't hit the shot. I'm like, come on, bro. I mean, listen, man, some of the best in the NBA miss shots, including the king of the NBA. How many shots have he missed at the end of the game? Anyways, but y'all already know how the fan base is. Crazy ass fan base. And I'm pretty much starting to become numb to it. So, with that being said, man, just leave it in the comments what y'all think the Pistons can go out there and get. I know I've seen Kyle Korver, but there's other shooters out there. I'm tired of seeing just, the same old tweets and comments about trading the same people over and over. Trade Stanley, trade Reggie. Listen, man. First of all, when you make trades, especially in the NBA, there has to be some type of value to the trade. Stanley, yes, you probably be able to trade him to get somebody, but you're not going to get somebody that's just like, wow. I'm sorry. Reggie, you're not going to get a wild player with Reggie either. Reggie Jackson, you might not even get a player. You might just get some picks. So, you might get a pick, I mean. I'm not saying just keep him around, but I mean, listen, we don't have to re-sign Reggie Jackson. How long he got here? Obviously, so if you can trade him, get something decent, do it. But if not, why? You know what I'm saying? Why? So, I mean, it is what it is. You got guards that's sitting and waiting. I don't know why they won't go with Lofton and Kyrie Thomas and give them some type of opportunity. Because Bruce Brown, like I said, is not ready. He is not ready. Until he develops a jump shot, he's just not ready, bro. I'm sorry. I'd rather go with Zach Lofton or see what Kyrie Thomas can do. He went into the D League and he played really well. So I want to see what he can do. Dwayne Casey. Let's see what them two guys can do, man. Maybe they can provide some shooting. Y'all already know how confident Zach Lofton is. His confidence is through the roof. I wish he can, take some of that in a syringe and stick it into Stanley Johnson. You know what I'm saying? So, but yeah, Stanley obviously has to, he still has to get out of his own way. Me personally, I still haven't gave up on him. I know a lot of people have been through him in the garbage, but like I said, you just have to develop players, man, and Stan Van Gundy just wasn't that. So I'm going to see what Dwayne Casey can do. Sitting him on the bench, would that, trigger something? Or, he was better off the bench last year anyway. I don't care. We keep him as a bench player. Fine. If he plays well off the bench and be a potential six man, what the hell is wrong with that? Why does Stanley Johnson? I understand. I don't care about the pick selection. A lot of people say you picked in the first round. I don't care about that shit. What can you contribute to my basketball team winning? If he can come off the bench and be productive off the bench, fine. Keep him. Don't just trade him because you got an attitude and You just don't like them. I don't, man. Listen, listening to the fan base. I just got done telling my Lions fans this. Listening to the fan base will get your ass in trouble. Because how many players on the Lions team that they traded away that's playing good football right now? How many? Not putting the coaching staff in the frying pan and saying, listen, you're not developing players. Your coaching staff has to develop these players, man. Simple as that. If you want to be a good basketball team, if they can't develop nobody, these young guys, you in trouble, Jack. Simple as that. So they have to develop dudes. And like I said, Stan Van Gundy does nothing. So this is year one with Dwayne Casey. We'll see what happens. But that's all I pretty much got to say about that situation, man. And we'll see what happens with the Pistons next game. We are currently, 4-5? So we'll see what happens. With that being said, leave it in the comments, man.